Hello, my name is Wendy Aber. I'm a flutist and a music educator living in Wiley, Texas. Wiley is a suburb of Dallas, kind of about 30 minutes outside of Dallas. And I'm very fortunate that I get to teach music to the kindergartners through the fourth graders at Lovejoy Elementary School in Fairview, Texas, which is just a little bit north of where I live right now. My story as a musician is that I started playing the flute when I was in fourth grade in my hometown of Metairie, Louisiana, which is a suburb of New Orleans. Um, I started playing the flute because the band class met during PE time and I didn't like PE. And I chose the flute because you could sit in the front row. I like being in the front. I don't know. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. But I loved playing the flute. Once I first started playing, I had the joy of having an amazing musician and music educator in my life from a very young age, Mr. Mike Geneve, who was the music teacher at St. Clement of Rome School in Metairie. Gave me my first flute when I was 8 years old. And I played in his bands until eighth grade, and then I moved on to high school. When I was in high school, I played in the marching band. I was actually the drum major. I was the first girl to be drum major of my high school band. And I also learned how to sing in the choir because I just wanted to do everything music when I was in high school. When I went to college for my bachelor's degree at Louisiana State University, go Tigers, I played in the marching band, played in the symphonic band, wind ensembles, orchestra, the opera orchestra. I got to play in the pit for the Magic Flute when I was a sophomore in college. It was so cool to get to play piccolo for that. I had all kinds of great experiences, but the thing that I loved was being in the band, and I wanted to be a band director, just like Mr. Geneve was. After graduating from college, I took a job at Zachary High School in Zachary, Louisiana. I was the head band director at 23 years old. I didn't know what I was doing, but I figured it out along the way. And our bands had a lot of success for the year and a half that I was there. And then we moved to Texas because there were more opportunities for my family here. Living in Texas was a life-changing decision for us. I taught band for 2 years in inner city Dallas, and then I taught band for 5 years in East Texas. And by that time, I just didn't want to be a band director anymore, but I knew I wanted to keep music in my life. I reached out to a phenomenal flute teacher at Texas Women's University, Dr. Pamela Youngblood, who said, well, come play flute with us. And so I got my master's in flute. While I was doing that, I decided to change my career to teaching elementary school, which I had never done before. The last time I had worked with elementary age kids was when I was in elementary school. But it was the best decision of my life because I found my place in this world, teaching the little guys, kindergarten through fourth grade. Absolutely love them. I have had so many great experiences teaching elementary school. And one of the life-changing experiences that I went through was getting my Kodai certification from the Plano SMU Kodai Institute. And I got to study with some wonderful teachers. I got to study with a Hungarian solfege teacher. Mind-blowing, the things that I got to do, that I got to learn, and then how I got to grow as a musician. Now, I did have to practice a lot to get where I am. When I was in elementary school, I was good enough to be first chair, but I wasn't because I never turned in my practice sheets. And finally, my band director called my mom and said, either we kick her out of band or you give her private lessons and challenge her more. So my mom said, well, private lessons, let's do that. And I started taking private lessons and got to play music by really cool composers like Handel and Bach and Mozart. And that was a lot of fun for me too, outside of my school music making. I continued to practice a lot as I got older. And now when I get to practice, I see that as a blessing because I have the time to do it. My favorite music has changed a lot over the course of my life. When I was in school, it was whatever we were playing in band. I loved that. My band directors were always jazz musicians, so they would have us play band arrangements of jazz music. And so I would go and seek out the recordings of the music that they had us listen to. Then when I got older, when I got to my undergraduate college experience, I got to study with Dr. Catherine Kemmler at LSU, who was at the forefront of playing extended techniques on flute. And she didn't see any reason why an undergraduate couldn't do that. So as a 19-year-old, I was playing music with extended techniques in it, which was kind of fun. And I continue to play that to this day. One of my favorite composers is Ian Clark. I got to meet him one time and play some of his music for him. It was absolutely wonderful. He told me I was lovely. I loved that. It was so cool. I really love any kind of music. My current work at my job, I get to work with folk music and research good quality folk music, because as the inspiration for all of these wonderful music educators, Zoltan Kodály, says, only the best is good enough for a child. So I try to give the best to my students at my school. If you're thinking of going into music ed, I'm going to tell you right now, prepare yourself for the greatest job that anyone could have. You get to be your student's favorite teacher. You get to give first contact with formal music to your students, but you get to do it in a way where they feel safe and loved, and that it's fun, and that music is a wonderful thing. You're going to want to be as good as you can be on your primary instrument, but then you're going to want to try to find many, many ways to diversify yourself. I recently started learning how to play the dulcimer. I never thought I was going to learn how to play an instrument like that. I thought string instruments were something I just didn't understand. And then I love playing the dulcimer for my students now. My first love is, of course, my flute, and I still play my flute as much as I can. Now that we are all in the quarantine for the coronavirus, that's been my way to connect with my students. I'm making videos of myself playing my favorite flute songs for them and posting them on YouTube, and sending them out to my kids so that they can have a little bit of a connection with me and see my face and hear my voice and hear me play flute, because whenever I get a chance, I do that for them at school. If you have any questions about any of the stuff that I've told you, I'll send my contact information along with this so that you can reach out to me via email and ask about any of the stuff that I've rambled about today. I hope that you enjoy making some music at some point today. Get out and get some fresh air, drink some water, get some rest, get some exercise, make some music, listen to some music, because music does make it better, especially in the times that we're living in right now. Music makes everything better.